In a land far, far away, strange things were happening. By day, the people worked hard in the fields to provide some food for themselves and great riches for their king. The king was a greedy man. He made the people pay him taxes. He loved to see the people working hard and would often ride through the fields just to see their miserable faces and show off the fine clothes he had bought from their hard work. As he rode past, the workers would bow and look so sad that the king almost fell off his horse, he laughed so much. But then one day a strange thing happened. During the night there had been a heavy storm, with howling winds and streaks of fire in the sky. Most people had managed to stay in the warmth and safety of their own homes. Others had been caught in the storm. Next day, instead of being frizzled to a cinder, these people were smiling and happy. The strange storm had been so powerful it had made them cheerful. They even waved to the king as he passed. The king was very worried. He could not have been that powerful. The king ordered his wise minister to find out what strange creature was causing the people to be happy when he preferred them to be sad. After a long search through the royal library, the wise man rushed back to the king. In his hand was a faded old scroll of paper. When the time is right, when man is most oppressed, then will come the Penticost. This great winged beast will descend from the heavens and fly across the land, blowing spirit into the souls of men and warming their hearts with its fiery breath. There will be no more tyranny, and man will live as nature intended. The message was clear. A dragon-like beast was causing winds with its huge wings and warming people's hearts with its fiery breath.
"This creature is my enemy, and I must have it destroyed,"
cried the king. Who would be brave enough to fight the Penticost? When the king asked his bravest knights to fight the dragon, they all made excuses. One said he had to attend night school in another kingdom. Another said his horse was in for a service and wouldn't be ready till Friday. Knights weren't very good at fighting dragons. The dragons usually won. Would nobody get rid of this creature? Suddenly a young boy stepped forward. He was only a young jester, but really wanted to be a brave knight. He told the king that he would catch the dragon. Everyone laughed at the idea of a silly jester fighting a fierce dragon, but as no one else volunteered, the king said,
"I will give you 3 pieces of silver. Bring back the dragon's head, and I will let you be a knight."
The lad had no armour, no shield or axe. He had no idea what the dragon looked like. In his mind he imagined what the beast was like and hoped that he could find a way to fight it when the time came. The young jester had not gone far before he saw ahead of him what at first looked like a large crow perched by the roadside. And when he came closer, the boy realized it was an old woman wrapped in a dark shawl.
"Can I help you?"
she asked as he passed. When the boy told her he was looking for a dragon to fight, the woman's eyes lit up.
"Well, you'll need what I have in this sack. It'll protect you from the dragon's blows, and I'll only charge you 1 piece."
The woman took the silver, but just as the boy looked into the sack, she pushed him right in, and with a loud cackle of laughter she rolled him down the hill and hurried off. When he managed to struggle free, the woman had gone, and all the sack contained was an old cooking pot. The jester was cross with himself for letting the old woman trick him, but continued on his journey, still determined to fight that dragon. Suddenly the track entered a small dark wood, and from the cluster of trees came the sound of a girl crying softly. The jester was amazed, for there sat a beautiful young princess, combing her hair through the reflection of the mirror. She stopped crying when he approached. I'm sorry to disturb you, said the young man. But do you know where the dragon lives? The princess seemed very glad to see this lad.
I could show you, but first hold my mirror so I can point out the way.
Just as the jester put his hand on the mirror, there was a flash of light. The girl shouted with joy. She explained to the shocked lad that a group of forest fairies had put a spell on her, and she was stuck to the mirror and in the wood forever. By taking the mirror from her hand, the jester had broken the spell. The princess was sorry for not telling the truth, but she gave the boy her mirror. It would act as a shield to stop the dragon's fiery breath. The jester was pleased that he had rescued the young princess. He gave her one of his pieces of silver so that she could find her way home and continue on his journey. The woodland was now turning to deep forest, and the track was a narrow footpath. It would be easy to get lost in this place. Suddenly, the jester heard the sound of woodcutting. He stepped into a clearing, and there was an old woodman chopping firewood. The woodcutter, on hearing of the boy's search, said he could climb up a tall tree and look out for a dragon's den, but the boy would have to chop the wood for him. The old man climbed the tree, but instead of looking, he fell asleep in the branches. Some time later, the woodman awoke, and realizing it was getting late, he climbed back down the tree. He pretended that he had searched hard, but had not been able to see the dragon. Seeing that the young boy had cut a good pile of wood, the man gathered it up to carry it home. By now the axe was quite blunt, so the woodman suggested that the jester might need it to cut off the dragon's head. It would only cost 1 piece of silver. The woodcutter gleefully hurried off with a pile of logs and our young hero's last piece of silver. The jester now found himself with a cooking pot for a helmet, a mirror for a shield, and a blunt axe. In a strange way, he now felt like a real knight, and began to imagine he was fighting the beast in this attire. He held out the mirror and slashed an invisible enemy with his axe. Little did he know that the enemy was not as invisible as he thought. As the young man fought an imaginary dragon, a pile of leaves and branches began to move behind his back. The real dragon had been asleep in the clearing all this time. Now it rose up and eyed him in a puzzled way. It was only when the boy turned the mirror to look at himself that he saw the beast standing behind him. The boy whirled around to protect himself, but it was no good. First the dragon's flapping wings blew the helmet off his head, and then its fiery breath melted his sword and shattered the glass in the mirror. The boy closed his eyes and crouched down, waiting to be burned alive. He waited, and waited, and waited. Instead of pain, he felt a warm feeling which went deep into his body. He began to feel very happy, and realized now that this dragon was not a villain, but a special friend which had come to make everybody happy. When he opened his eyes once more, the dragon had disappeared, but the boy could still feel its warmth in his heart. He knew that he must return to the king and make him see that the Penticost only wanted to rule people's hearts and not take over the kingdom. But will the king listen to the jester? Will he become a kind ruler and care for his people? What do you think? Sometimes heroes don't look heroic, and sometimes villains are not as villainous as they first appear. This story aims to show that we need to find out more about others before we make judgments about them.